Hey, hello there. Today I'm going to be creating an animated leaf falling from some trees, and I've had some people asking about doing a demonstration on this. I'll be making use of Piskel and Photoshop to do this, and you'll need to use Yanfly's grid-free doodads plugin to put this into RPG Maker. So you can see here an example of what we'll be creating. Alright, so falling leaves. I guess the first thing we want to do is establish just what kind of pattern the leaf is, or what kind of path the leaf is going to take as it falls. Because it's a big flat surface, it's not going to fall straight down. It's going to wander around sort of randomly, but it's probably more of a spiral sort of a descent. So let me just plot out a few ideas here and we'll see what makes sense. So we could try to spiral the leaf as it falls, so it sort of follows a slinky sort of a pattern. Try to warp it into perspective a bit, like this maybe. But I think ultimately what's going to look best is if we just use a sine wave sort of a pattern, because that will keep the perspective pretty ambiguous and we'll be able to use it in a lot of different situations. Alright, so let me open up Piskel here. Let's make enough space here, plenty of vertical space. I think I used 48 by 96. So I'm going to start off by just drawing in that sine wave that I want the leaf to take. And this is just going to be a guide. I'll be deleting it when I finish off the animation. So I'll create a second layer here. Let's call these, this layer leaves. And I'm not sure how long this animation is going to be. Right now I'm thinking 6, but I think later in the video I'd actually made it as many as 16 frames. And I'm just going to plot the position of a leaf, the course it takes as it falls. And I'm going to want to slow the leaf down as it gets towards the rounded parts of the path, and speed it up slightly as it's moving along the straight portions. Alright, so I haven't taken the leaf all the way down. We've got those 16 frames. What I'm going to do is, at the beginning frame, I'm just going to loop it back on itself, so it's going to continue from at the bottom. You'll see what I mean as we get further into the animation. Alright, let's try building these spots into leaf shapes now. And I'm just sort of arbitrarily drawing them, and I'm looking at the animation on the right, and it's not really what I want. There's something missing. So if I do a line here that shows the angle that the leaf is on, I can see that it's actually sort of rotating a bit with each passing frame. So if I keep that pattern going on as a general trend along the descent, it should look very convincing as a leaf, even if the shape is really pretty random. So let's fix up those first few frames. And anytime I'm drawing a leaf on these rounded edges, I'm going to want to try to foreshorten them just a bit more than I would otherwise. It's kind of hard to do that with such a small size of an object. I mean, these leaves are only a few pixels by a few pixels, so sometimes it's really not a big deal. But it's something I'm trying to be aware of. Alright, so I've gotten down to the bottom. Let's just have a look at this in the player for a moment. It's looking pretty good. Alright, so that's the last frame, but we have to continue the descent. So we're going to jump right back up to the first frame and continue it from there. So let's continue plotting the path of that leaf all the way to the bottom, and I'll leave a few frames at the bottom where it's not moving. I think what I'll do in Photoshop is have that leaf sort of fade out as far as transparency. Alright, so let's get those guidelines in there so we know what angle the leaf is supposed to be on. And finish up these last frames. So as far as the actual shape of the leaf, it's really just this random, I don't know, banana shape or canoe shape. It's not very complex, really. Alright, so we're at the bottom now, and it's gonna sit in position for about 3 frames. Alright, let's test this out in the player. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's save this using the correct naming suffix. 16 frames, 1 row. So I often like to add a few effects in Photoshop to these sprite sheets after I've made them, but I don't think there's really too much I want to do with this. Just want to fade out that bottom leaf. Maybe I'll fade in the first leaf as well. We'll see how that looks. Alright, let's save that as a variant. Alright, let's test that out in RPG Maker now. Let's just put my player over here. Should be a good spot. I don't think I have anything else in this area. Okay, this is perfect. We have a few falling leaves, but most of the area is clear, so let's try to place some of this stuff around. There we go. This is the one with transparency. So I can't stress enough how important it is to vary the frame speed around. If all of your leaves are falling in synchronization, it'll look really odd. Alright, let's place a few more of them at the top here. And maybe we'll brighten this one up a bit. Yeah, that way it stands out against the darker trees there. So I've actually got the video sped up to about 2 or 3 times the speed I recorded it at, so if the leaves look like they're falling a bit quickly, that's probably why. And we can try crushing the dimensions a bit, stretching them around, try to squeeze a bit more utility out of the animation. Alright, there we are, back to normal speed. So this is the result. And that's pretty much the end of the video. I hope this was helpful, and thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below.